In this video, I will be trying out the world's smallest tennis racket and seeing if it will help me improve my tennis. I will be giving a full review, doing some drills, and then challenging one of my 4 or 5 friends just to see if I could beat him with the world's smallest tennis racket. This is the Saber, a very popular training tool created by functional tennis, used by players and pros all around the world to improve their game. The racket head size is 37 square inches, and just for reference, the racket I normally use is 100 square inches, so it's over half the size. Last month, I received a DM from Functional Tennis and was sent a Saber to try and review it. I'm excited to give it a shot, and let's see if the Saber is worth the hype. So I have it here. I'm gonna quickly do an unboxing, and then we're gonna just play test it today. So let's see how it goes. Alrighty, so we have the box here. I'm gonna have to put this mic down. Alrighty, so we got the racket here. It is wrapped in a nice, cute little container thing. Alright, I'm gonna have to clean that up later. So we got it here, and just from holding it, I know it's still in this container. It's a lot heavier than you would expect. The head size is like 3 times smaller than a normal racket, but it is 300 grams, and that's why people say it's a good training tool, because it feels just like a normal racket. I'm excited to try this, and let me just quickly unwrap this real quick. So it even comes stringed, and it looks pretty cool, but I'm excited to try it out. I will see you guys on the court with a little review. And the one thing that I want to really try is my forehand with this racket, because if you guys don't know, I have a pretty extreme forehand grip. This is how I hit my forehands. So I was wondering if this will work with this functional tennis Saber, and so yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so starting off pretty strong by shanking my second forehand. This was a pretty casual practice session with one of my buddies, Nick, who you've probably seen on the channel many times. He's been in about half my videos at this point, and I'll probably give him half the ad revenue from this video, a whole $2.50, if it even gets monetized at this point. Anyways, just warming up short court, and to be honest, retroactively, hitting short court felt a lot more difficult than hitting from the baseline, probably because I was swinging a lot slower, and I'll talk about this a bit more later. And also, backhands were very difficult. Alright, so we did a quick little warm-up with the Saber, and now we're going to be at the baseline. It's a lot heavier than I expected, like I mentioned earlier. It feels really sturdy, like I could use this as self-defense. It was missing a lot more than I expected, but from the baseline, I'm expecting it to be a lot better. So the main point is the head is a lot smaller, right? So the assumption is you're going to have a lot more trouble hitting the sweet spot, but I always hit the sweet spot, so I'm gonna have no problem with it. So let's see how it works. Okay, so moving on to hitting from the baseline for about 10 to 15 minutes, trying to get a rhythm, still taking things pretty slow at this point. A couple of misses thrown in here and there, but overall having a lot of fun with this tool, just swinging through this mini racket, trying to get better with it, and trying to get a feel for the ball. As I mentioned earlier, hitting from the baseline actually felt quite a bit easier for me. Okay, never mind, I spoke way too soon. But anyways, just trusting your swing from the baseline helps out a lot more than in short court, where I have to try to control and slow things down a little bit. But I knew that I really just had to lock into the ball, trust my swing, and hope my contact point will be good. And from the get-go, I noticed a couple of things that I was forced to do just from using a Saber. So for one, I really had to focus on every ball. I can't just zone out like I sometimes do in rallies and matches. I don't really have the freedom to do that with this small racket, and the sweet spot is a lot smaller, which really just forces me to pay attention and not autopilot when I play. And the second thing was I really had to make sure my footwork was also on point. The amount of room for error with this smaller racket is a lot less, and with a normal racket I feel like I got away sometimes with being a bit lazy, waiting for the ball to come to me and still just making shots even if I was a bit out of position. And once again, I don't have the freedom with this Saber. And the third thing I noticed was that it exposed a lot of weaknesses and bad tendencies in my technique, and also exaggerates a lot of my mistakes that I normally would make. And this is very evident later on when I start trying to hit volleys with the Saber, and even just now as we are hitting from the baseline, and later on when we start hitting cross courts, I can see some bad habits start to creep up. And one of this is just me always hitting down the middle even if I was trying to hit cross court. and that is because I swing a little bit late, especially on my backhand side, and with the Saber this becomes very obvious. But the good thing is I feel like if I could start directing the ball really well with the Saber, I should have zero problem doing it with my normal racket. And yeah, so I'm pretty excited to see how I would do after I switch back. So moving on to hitting some backhands cross court, and backhands are definitely my weaker shot. I really wanted to see how it would feel using the Saber and whether my backhands would get better from it. And one small complaint I had, and it's not even about the Saber itself, was with the strings that it came with. Now I'm not entirely sure what type of strings they were, but I couldn't really feel the ball coming off the racket, so I did have a bit of trouble figuring out if I was in fact hitting the balls clean or not. But yeah, we're gonna do the backhand cross courts for about 5 to 10 more minutes, and then we'll move on to some volleys, and eventually we'll do some points.
The strings are a little bit, they move a lot because the tension is so low on these. So yeah, so we're gonna do some volleys now, and I think I'm getting the hang of it. I'm still shaking a lot of balls, but I just really have to focus to hit the ball in because I can't autopilot it like I do normally. Started doing a little bit better at the end, focusing a little bit better. Let's try some volleys because I need to work on my volleys. All right, I'm done. No more volley. No more volley. All right, next. All right, play the 10.
So yeah, that was more than enough volleys for now. I did do volleys for about 10 minutes. It just really wasn't good footage, and I made about 40% of my backhand volleys in. So definitely didn't want you guys seeing that footage for your sake. And yeah, let's just get to the fun stuff where I play some points out against Nick. So we are just doing some baseline points to 10, best 2 out of 3 sets. And Nick here is trying to demo a bunch of new rackets. So he will be switching between rackets between sets, and I think he's already switched a couple times already throughout this video. But anyways, we are playing some points without serves, mostly because my shoulder at this point, and still right now, has been a little bit injured. So there won't be any serves in this video, but I'll probably save it for a future video. So I'm just trying to see if I could beat Nick in a baseline game with using a Saber. Obviously, if we play with serves, I do feel like I will have an even harder time. Who knows? We'll have to see when that happens in a future video maybe. Let's see how this first game goes. So I take the first round, not much strategy going on, just trying to keep the ball in as best as I could. And yeah, I feel like I wasn't really attacking on any balls, having a little bit of trouble directing the ball with the Saber. Plus Nick hits pretty hard, so it's even harder for me to time the ball, and I'm typically on a defense against him every match we play, and that is without the Saber. So with the Saber, it is still very difficult. So in this next game, going to try to look to attack a bit more, and let's see how this one goes.
No! Boy, put too much out.
Okay, so this one did not go so well for me, but we do have to play one last game for the tiebreaker to see how that one goes.
Oh, good shot. Oh.
And at this point, I believe I'm starting to find my groove with the Saber. So I've been playing with it for about 45 minutes already, a little bit longer than I should have been playing with, but I'm making better contact and the backhand side is feeling so much cleaner, and I feel like I'm getting more mentally locked in just from using the Saber, so having a lot of fun until this happened.
No way. Well, there goes that. Oh my god. Well, so I guess we're not finishing this one. We'll go back to doing what I'm supposed to do, which is switch back to my normal rackets and see how it feels.
Gonna finish up this baseline game with my own racket. Gonna let myself get one practice point to get back into it. But let's just say I probably played with the Saber a bit too long because the adjustment back to my normal racket felt a little bit big. So my normal racket in my hand felt really weird, and it wasn't heavy because my racket was only about 10 grams heavier unstrung, but I guess the strung weight would have been a lot heavier since it would have a lot more strings on it. But regardless, it did feel about the same weight, but it just felt a little bit weird to me when I first started using it. But despite this, I felt like every time I struck the ball, especially on my backhand side, the shot quality felt really good to me, and I felt really confident in swinging through with my normal racket. I do think my shots got deeper. I feel like I've been hitting heavier, and my backhands felt so much cleaner. I wasn't shanking as many backhands, and part of it was probably just the ball striking, but I think a lot of it was just the footwork and the focus that carried over from when I was using a Saber. But obviously, like, still missing a couple of shots here and there. I'm not gonna magically become a 5.0 from using a Saber in one session, but I think my ground strokes did get a lot better. So let's just see how the rest of this game goes. So we do end up messing up the score somewhere along the way, but the actual score was 9-3, but that's close enough to a dub in my book, and a win is a win. So I do beat Nick with a Saber in my book. So here are some more points and highlights of some hitting we did at the end of the session. So essentially what we're doing right now is we're playing a set without serves, except the only criteria is your feed as well as the return have to go across court, and afterwards we'll play it out. And Nick said at this point that he was going to lock in a little bit better, he was going to miss less forehands. Let's see if he does miss less forehands, and yeah, let's see how this one goes.
Oh my god.
And at this point, we didn't finish the set. I thought we were going to end our session there, but we ended up actually playing for about 20 more minutes, and I have some highlights from there. But that's pretty much it for this video. I had a lot of fun using the Saber. I definitely think my game felt so much better just using it for this one session. So I'm going to leave it at that. Hope you guys enjoy these highlights, and I'll jump in a bit with a face cam to give my final thoughts on the Saber. You know, just to talk about if it was worth it, if it wasn't worth it, and just kind of give my final thoughts. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in for this Saber tool review. I haven't done one of these videos before, so if you guys enjoyed it and want to see more content that isn't just tennis matches, then please leave a like as well as comment down below what your thoughts are. And once again, this is just my experience with the Saber, and I'm going to quickly give a final review of it. So I mentioned many times in the video that it was a lot of fun to use, and if you guys just want to play around with it, I think it is worth it in itself. But more importantly, I want to focus on how I think it will improve my game, and whether I think it is actually useful in improving my tennis. So first off, I've only used the Saber once, and I haven't had many other chances to use it because currently it is still broken and I haven't had a chance to restring it yet. But I am very confident that I will continue to use this in the future to practice and train with, and I will be putting on my own strings just to make it feel a little bit more like my other rackets. And I really felt a difference after using it for about 45 minutes and playing with it. Even though that wasn't really the intended use, you're supposed to only use it for about 10 to 15 minutes during warm-up and then switch back to your normal racket. But for me, I got a little bit carried away. It was my first time using the Saber, and I really got into the groove of getting better and noticing my shots get better. And yeah, so for me, since I used it for nearly an hour, the switch back to my normal racket was a little bit difficult at first. But even for me, after I got used to my normal racket's head weight and size again, my shots felt so much better. And not just my shots, not just my swing, but also my focus and my intent while striking the ball. So on a surface level, obviously this tool is going to be helpful for you to hit the sweet spot because the head is so much smaller. You are forced to hit the center every time, and if you can hit the ball cleanly with this racket every time, there's no reason you shouldn't with your normal racket. So hitting the sweet spot, pretty important for tennis. But more importantly, I found that this really helped me focus when I hit the ball. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when I play tennis these days, since I've been playing tennis for a couple of years, when I practice or sometimes even in matches, I kind of go into a mode where I autopilot and I don't really think about moving. I don't really think about striking the ball. Now, even though I am able to get the ball back, the quality of my shot isn't really that great, and I'm not really focused, so I'm not improving. And a lot of these things become a habit over time, and you really just have to focus to get yourself out of that habit. So using a Saber at the moment, I have to really focus. I really have to think about how I want to hit the ball. I really have to move well, and I think that's going to really help me build better habits. And just that in itself, I feel like will be very important for me, especially in my stage of tennis, because a lot of times, like I mentioned, I go into this autopilot mode, and I really believe I have the ability to hit really high quality shots, but just being able to do that for an extended time will definitely take my game to the next level. So moving forward, will I use this tool? Yeah, I think I will. I think it's very helpful. I had a lot of fun using it. I do want to create more content with the Saber, whether it is practice videos, whether it is just for fun videos where I play a match with it. The possibilities are endless, but you guys have to let me know in the comments below if you guys do want to see that type of content and if it would be interesting, because obviously it's going to be a little bit less serious of a video, so your feedback would be very helpful. But on a deeper level, in terms of my tennis game, I think it will definitely help me improve a lot for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, and also to fix a lot of technique issues, especially in my volleys. So let me know what you guys think. And I just want to thank Functional Tennis for sending me this Saber and giving me the opportunity to review it. I had a lot of fun using it, and I will plan on using it in the future. I will leave links down in the description below if you guys want to go get yourself a Saber or just check out any other products from Functional Tennis. And I'll also leave a link to their Instagram down in the description below as well if you guys want to just check out the Functional Tennis page. And also, while you guys are on Instagram, feel free to check out my Instagram. I'll also leave a link below or just put it on the screen right here. I don't really use it, but it will make me happy if you guys give me a follow, and maybe I'll use it later. Yeah, anyways, that's it for this video. I'm done rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, that's all I have. Bye. See you guys next time.